When the Just Flight Piper Arrow came out a few weeks ago, I said it was the best aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Does the turbo version add to that legacy? Let's find out. Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody, and today I'm checking out the very soon to be released turbo versions of the Piper Arrow. That's right, for the Piper Arrow 3 and the Piper Arrow 4. Today we're going to run through some of the key features of this package and what you can expect to get. Some of the key differences between this version and the standard version. And I'm also going to mention, for those of you that already own the standard version, a very special offer so you can get your hands on this aircraft. Before we get into it, just a big thanks to Just Flight, who have hooked me up with a pre-release version of this aircraft, and a disclaimer that this isn't the absolute final version, so there might be a few little things that a few bugs and things like that, so just be aware of that. But here we are in one of my favourite airports in the world, NZQN Queenstown in New Zealand, and we've got the Piper Arrow 4 here, just sitting here on the apron. And on first glances, there's not a huge amount of difference, but we will just go through some external differences before we jump into the cockpit. But before I do that, let's go and check out some of the liveries that you get with this aircraft. Comes with a number of different liveries, as you can see right here. Here goes the ones that you get for the Turbo Arrow 3. And here are the variants for the Turbo Arrow 4. Okay, here we are outside the Piper Arrow 4 right here, and it is certainly a smart looking aircraft. I really like this little paint job here, and it's a nice day here in Queenstown. The sun reflecting off the fuselage. You're getting good quality textures, as you would expect with any Just Flight aircraft. Now, probably the main difference, which some of you have already picked up, is right here you've got the horizontal stabilizer is actually at the top of the vertical stabilizer. Now, this is because it's the Arrow 4 version. I'll just scroll up here, and you can see that up the top there. That's very reminiscent of course, the Piper Tomahawk, which is another very, very cool aircraft available from Just Flight for other simulators. But as we pan around the aircraft, as you can see, some really nice attention to detail on the paneling. And this is, like I say, a very nice looking paint job. So from the external point of view, a very good quality looking aircraft. So let's jump inside the cockpit and let's take a look around. Okay, here we are inside the cockpit, and for those of you that have flown the standard version of the Piper Arrow, at first glances, it's not going to really have too many differences, to be fair. As you look around, it's got all the different instrumentation, and as I mentioned earlier, it's a really good rendition of this aircraft, and it's pretty widespread amongst flight simmers and those people that have flown this aircraft, that they've done a really good job in replicating some of the functionality in here. And what we're actually going to do is we'll take this for a bit of a test spin in a minute, and I'll show you one of the new key things that it's different with this particular aircraft. But if you look around the cabin right here, a lot of interactive pieces, as you would expect, and this glare shield does work, by the way. Someone on the Discord yesterday actually confirmed that. So taking a quick look at the electronics here, and you've got a few different options here in terms of the GPS and some of the other instruments. Now, this is fully IFR capable, so if you want to fly your IFR in IFR conditions, I should say, or VOR to VOR, ILS, all that sort of stuff, you've certainly got the capability right here. But you've also got this cool little electronic flight bag right here, very similar to the one that is available on the standard version. And you can go ahead and take the chocks off here, the tie downs, all that sort of stuff. So if we take those all off right there, jump outside the cockpit, there they go, they have disappeared. So that's nice and easy. You can adjust the yokes right here too. I'll leave them both off just to make it easy to get this thing started up. So you do get some flight information here. It is pretty useful, particularly when you're in an aerodrome that doesn't have any windsocks or anything like that. So that's nice and handy to be able to take a look at some of the flight info right here. Excuse me. Okay, but as I said, taking a look at the actual electronics panel, you can actually change the type of electronics that you do have in here, and you just go up to this little part right here, GPS. There we go, we've got just the Garmin GPS 100 right there. You can go for the dual option right there, but one I usually stick to is the 530. The GNS 530, which is your standard sort of GPS unit, so fully capable in that regard. If we take a look at some of the other features of the aircraft, it does have automatic heading hold, and all that sort of stuff. It does actually have an altitude hold, and you just got to hover over the top of the Piper logo right here. Now, that's not in the real aircraft, but just for convenience sake, they have put it in here, so then when you're out and about flying around, you don't have to worry, you can have a look around. So one of the key differences you are going to find between this aircraft here and the standard aircraft is this one here is actually just a little bit faster. So once you get up to your cruise altitude, you will notice it's a little bit faster than the standard version. This one's got curtains in there. Might be good for a bit of a sleep. I probably would put my passengers to sleep, to be honest. But the inner texturing obviously is very, very good, very similar to the other one. The other key difference that you're going to find is obviously I talked about the horizontal stabilizer on the external, but the major key difference you're going to have in these two versions right here is the engine damage. And we've got this little panel right here, so you can go ahead and click to enable warnings, and that way it will let you know what's going on. But the key thing really here is, as you can see, currently it says my engine has currently 0% engine damage, which means it's in perfect condition. But here's the thing, if you decide to overstress the engine when you're out flying this particular aircraft, that engine damage will increase. And in fact, it will increase to a point that something happens. And we're going to go and test that out in a minute. Do not recommend to do that in real flight. But that's a cool little addition right there. So you're going to have to really manage your engine. And we'll talk through that once we get this thing fired up and get ready to go. You do have to manage what your engine is up to. So with that said, everybody, let's start the engine up. Start the aircraft up, then we'll get out to the runway. We'll do a little bit of flying just so you get a bit of a feel for the aircraft. Okay, so I'm using my honeycomb yoke and throttle quadrant, so I'll go ahead and use that, but you can sort of follow along. I'll get my battery on right here, and I'm going to put my prop right through to full. I'm going to crack the throttle just a little bit right here, and I will put the fuel pump on. It's this switch right here. Let's put it on to high, actually, Mace, get it right. I am going to put my beacon on. That's the only light I'm going to put on at this point. The other thing I'm just going to check down here is make sure we've got our fuel. That's very important. It's looking good. Okay, no one around apart from that guy there. He ain't moving, so he might have to move very soon. So what you actually do is you get your key in, put your mixture through, and we have got a good start right there. Let's put that key back to both. And have a look at the revs right here, around about 14 to 1500, just a little bit down there. And there we go, we have got a good start there, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my taxi lights on. You'll see them go on down there, my nav lights. We'll turn our alt, and our avionics is on. So as you can see, the panel's now nice and lit up right here, and that makes it nice and easy to see what's going on. So what I'm going to do, everybody, is I'll go ahead and taxi this out to the runway. We'll take off and let's put it through its paces. Okay, we're ready to take off, everybody, here on one of the cross runway here in NZQN. So let's just smoothly apply our throttle, release our brakes, and let's try to keep this thing on the centre line as much as possible. Okay. Looking pretty solid here at the moment. A little bit left. Runway, the wind's right in our face. Whoa. Okay, try to keep it straight. And okay, there we go. Positive rate, gear is up. Now one thing I need to do is just ease back this throttle slightly. So hopefully you can see at the bottom of the screen there, I'm just getting it below the red line. Anything above the red line and your engine is going to start to degrade. Flaps up. And over here, if you look over here, I've actually done engine damage. I overstressed the engine, so 16.6 right there. So I needed to watch that just a little bit more closely, but let's just climb out away from here. But had I kept the revs down here, the propeller RPM down here, ahead of the 41 inches on the manifold pressure, that would continue to degrade the engine until we get to a point where the engine says, I've had enough, I'm going to give up. So you just really got to watch it, and you've got to look after your engine. So anyway, we'll climb out above here. We need to get above these hills, actually. What we're going to do is I'll just demonstrate the autopilot while we're in this configuration right here. Let's go ahead and enable heading switch and the AP, and that's just going to take over, and we're going to go around to our heading bug right here. So the AP is pretty easy to use. You do have the automated landing gear system too here. I'm going to turn it off, but basically the way that works is that depending on the settings, the highest setting will automatically extend the landing gear if you are below 87 knots, I believe it is. Now, if you are below 87 knots and 14 on your manifold pressure, it will extend it. That's the second notch. Or then you can have it selected like I do right now, where it just won't automatically extend the landing gear. So, depending on what you're doing in your aircraft, will determine whether you have that functionality on. If you're like me and you're pretty forgetful, then it's quite good having the landing gear extended for you. Anyway, I'm going to let that go around there, and I'm going to go ahead now, everybody, and just enable the altitude hold right there. So we'll stick at this altitude. We'll just wait for that, wait for our airspeed to go up as we level off. It is now. I'm just going to pull back the revs, the prop right there, back to about 2300, and then I can pull back that manifold pressure. I'd pull it right back actually if I was actually flying in a proper flight, but let's just keep it here in the meantime. And then what I'm going to do, everybody, is let's just jump outside so you can see this beautiful aircraft in flight. Anyway, it's a pretty stable sort of aircraft to fly, everybody, but what I want to do is let's test out this engine wear right here, 16.6. So what I'm going to do is let's just look down here at the manifold pressure, and I'm just going to push it right up to 45, everybody. I do not recommend this at home. I'm going to anticipate what's going to happen here, and let's just set emergency on our transponder, 7,700. And as I overstress this engine, look at this, it's going, the engine damage is going up and up and up. Now you can go ahead and just repair the engine right there, everybody, or that's not much fun. So let's go ahead and change our course right here, because I've got to stay in this sort of bowl area, as you can see around here. But this is just, oh, I think you might have heard that right there. The engine dropped off just a touch as the engine damage gets up. Where are we at? 58.2. You can really muck up your engine pretty quickly if you don't know what you're doing. Now, let's be honest, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm one thing I do know what I'm doing is I'm intentionally. Oops. Okay. That's what happens, everybody. The engine gets very quiet. Now, engines, I don't know if you know, but engines are supposed to be quite noisy. This one has got 100% damage, and we've got no engine, everybody. So put your radio call in. Hey, everybody, I've been an absolute idiot and overstrained my engine. Even though it gave me a warning to say that I was doing it, I continued to do it. So it's time for an emergency land. Oops. That's just not the camera at the same frame rate as the props, by the way. So let's look around. The good news is we've got plenty of places to land around here. The bad news, everybody, is I'm a terrible pilot. Anyway, let's get close to the ground, see how I go. Okay, everybody, there's a few golfers down over there that are getting a little bit nervous, but let's just bring this aircraft around. It actually glides really, really well. I've got to say, I don't know if that's what it's like in real life, but it's certainly gliding nicely right here. And we're just going to aim to land on this roadway right here. So yeah, I've got full flap down and also got our landing gear down. Obviously very important to remember that. And I should really have turned my fuel off too, by the way, but too late for that now, everybody. So wish me luck. Let's hope we can pull this off. Watch out, pedestrians. Well, I'm going to get over this little ridge here and then hold off. Oh, I think we made it. We have made it, you little ripper. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, a safe emergency landing, if you can call it that. Now, unfortunately, the company that I rented this off are not going to be very happy at all that I completely munted the engine. But that was really enjoyable, and it brings just an added extra little depth to the aircraft by having that and making sure you need to obviously look after your engine. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video that if you do own this aircraft, Just Flight do have a special offer, and that's that you can get 66% off. That's right, 66% off this version of the Piper Arrow, the turbo version of the Piper Arrow, if you already earn the standard version. So if you're keen on some of these additional features and are looking for an aircraft that's just a little bit faster than the other Piper Arrow, or if you haven't got this at all, then I'd highly recommend the Piper Arrow. It's a heck of a lot of fun to fly, particularly if you're into GA aircraft. It's a nice little flight to, nice little money-making machine for some of those career modes out there also. at a reasonable price. And like I say, it gets a lot of great feedback in terms of how realistic it is, and I certainly enjoy flying it. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Piper Arrow Turbo version for Arrow 3 and Arrow 4 is coming up this week. So keep your eyes open for that. And once again, thank you to Just Flight for giving me the opportunity to check this out. But thank you very much for watching. Make sure you smash the like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, everybody, take it easy.